What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing on this lovely Wednesday? I am thoroughly enjoying having the streams on Wednesdays and Fridays instead of Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays are crazy. Um, I don't have too much stuff for you guys. I am working on the Chiron. Hoping to have this wrapped up by next week so we can start getting the LCD conversions out and the firmware updated. We will be doing some updates for our help center. We're moving it to our main site. Right now they're on two separate domains, and it's causing some weirdness with our live chat plugin where it's not carrying over the conversations between the two domains, even though one's just a subdomain. So we're just merging it all into one, of course, every single time. Can you not? He's literally been in my office all day and has not touched the squeaky toy. But as soon as he hears me talking at my screens, we have to get the squeaky toy, apparently. So, anyways, did you guys get the email notifications? I didn't check to see if I got them. I believe I scheduled them to go out. Did I get them? Did my mailing system not send out the emails? What the hell? I know I scheduled it, unless I scheduled it for the... Oh no, it said it did 36 minutes ago. Apparently it didn't, I didn't get my own email? Okay. Oh, you know why I didn't get my own email? Because I'm not on the YouTube notification list. I'm on just our main mailing list. I was like, wait. So that's why it didn't go to me, because I didn't add myself to it. We were sending out the notifications to all the email lists, like our general marketing list that we have. And I did that for last week and put a notice in the email that if you guys want to keep getting those notifications, that you have to sign up on the actual YouTube notification list, and there was a link in there. So we do have that. If you guys are interested and want to get those, you have to be on the actual YouTube notification list, because we're not sending them out to the entire mailing list. And you can do that just by going to the link I just posted in the chat. It's just th3dstudio.com/youtube-notification-sign-up. So, but it's also linked at the bottom of every page. So, yeah, we'll send out emails basically a half hour before every live stream. Those get entered in once we schedule the live streams. I realized my hat was a little crooked. If you guys, I just noticed this, that my Home Assistant, like YouTube integration, to check the stream is not working. I wonder if like YouTube changed something and the plugin I'm using is not working. So I just had to manually kick on my logo light there and the cube. So I'll have to see what's going on here. Maybe there's an update. Oh, it looks like there is an update. Interesting. So I'll have to update that. Let's see. So I guess I'm a couple of versions behind on some of my Home Assistant stuff. I'll have to, I think it'll be update night tonight. What do you guys think? Those of you guys that run Home Assistant, how often do you guys update your instances? Because I do it like once every other week, just to try to keep up, because I don't want to be too far behind. I'm just curious. So yeah, the Chiron is moving along. The Easy Neos are on the site. I'm working on next week doing like a promo video for it, and then we'll do some heavy marketing on those just to let everybody know they are. But they are on the site right now. We've rolled out a firmware update to add it in for various boards, so you can set it up very easily. And we have extensive documentation on the Help Center for the Easy Neos to wire up the universal power adapter if you're using that, and how to connect it to your board. So, and we also have a link to a form where if there's like a board that you're using that you can't figure out how to get working on your own with the generic documentation, or the universal documentation as we call it, you can send us in a picture of the board, and I'll look it over and pull information on the board, and then put together an article on what IO pins are free on that board and where you can actually tie into them. So yeah, I think that's about it. I don't have anything too new. We are ordering more coax, so if there's a color out of stock that you're looking for. We should have those at the beginning of next week. I think that's about it. Our flex plates are all restocked, so if you were waiting on any of the easy flexes, those are restocked, and we also have the size for the Ender 6 that covers the full bed, so the 290 by 290 size. That's available on our website right now, in the textured and the smooth ones, as well as the magnetic base. Where's my live chat? Because there's like a little one OBS on my right screen here, so if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at my OBS preview window. The giveaway form is open. I am sorry. I am going and checking the chat to see what questions there are. And I think Mike V is our first question we have today. Let me close out my email client because it's like popping up things and making noise and stuff. So anyways, let's get this show on the road because you guys are here to have me answer questions. So let's get to it. So Mike V says he's got a question. I haven't moved the printer at all. But now the left side of the printer is printing much thinner on the right side for the skirt level and the first layer. He's got a CR10S with easy ABL on it. The most common cause for that is what we refer to as a slanting bed result, and that usually is because your gantry is off. And there is an article in the Help Center, and I'm going to post that in chat. On how to resolve that and what steps you can do to actually do that. But that's a mechanical issue with the printer. It's not letting me tag Mike V. Well, hopefully Mike V, if you're still here, you see the link. M. Poffenbarger is asking about if I had a recommendation for locally controlled non-cloud smart bulbs. There's one company, hang on, let me look up the name. It's like Atham or something. I was on their mailing list. I think this is them. My brothers use these. I have a couple in the house here. Just because of everything going on, I haven't had time to actually move forward on our bulbs yet. But these ones are local controlled, as in like they ship with Tasmota. Atham.tech, I'm not affiliated with them, but I have a couple of their bulbs and they do work. My only complaint is like their 15-watt bulbs weren't very bright, but they're good enough. I think I have the Atham ones in these two pedestal lamps behind me, the ones to the left and right of my couch there. And I've got one of ours I'm testing in another lamp here. But I mean, they worked. They shipped with Tasmota. They did not have any like cloud stuff on there, so I was pretty happy with that. Let's see here. I do want to say I am very happy with Tasmota. I recently overhauled my Wi-Fi setup here and switched everything over to its own VLAN for my IoT devices. And I have some TP-Link smart plugs that I've had for years, and it took me like 5 minutes to remove them from the app and then re-add them. There's no option to just change the Wi-Fi. And then I did all the easy plugs I have, and it was literally just I hit the IP of the easy plug, hit configure Wi-Fi, and it took me like 30 seconds for the easy plugs. So I wish more vendors had stuff like that. Part of me was thinking, do I just replace the TP-Links with more of our plugs? And then I was like, I don't want to waste these plugs. They still work. But I haven't bought TP-Link plugs in a while after they pulled a thing where they were pushing out firmware that blocked local access. Meaning Home Assistant couldn't control it, and at that point I blocked all WAN access to those plugs so they couldn't get a firmware update, and I could keep my local control. So, you know, my whole thing is if a company, like they did roll back on that after a bunch of backlash from, you know, people like myself that use these locally with Home Assistant. You know, we're not using them with the TP-Link app. We're just buying them because it's a Wi-Fi plug. You know, but that's one of the reasons, like, we have our plugs where we can't push any firmware updates. You know, you guys own it. You can do whatever you want. You don't ever have to worry about us going, oh, we're going to try to lock you into our ecosystem. We'll never do that. You know, but the whole thing is if the company's done it once, they'll try to do it again in the future. And I'm not going to buy stuff from them. You know what I mean? So, let's see here. Other questions. Let's see. I'm looking. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. Scroll Media is asking, what's a good webcam to stream and do octolapse as well? Well, I'm going to be biased here and recommend our own EasyCam. And the thing is, the EasyCam that we have, this is a camera that we have had customized for 3D printing. And what I mean by that is a lot of the higher end cameras, like the webcams on the market, like the C920, the C922, the 930. What I didn't like about them is they have an autofocus, and Logitech's autofocus algorithm is absolutely atrocious. So what'll happen is you put on the printer, you plug in the Octoprint, it'll just keep hunting, trying to focus, and they're set up to focus at like this distance I'm sitting at now, not, you know, a couple feet where your printer is. So we came out with the EasyCam, and that is a 1080p 30 frames a second USB camera that has a manual focus adjustment on it where you can literally turn the lens and get it to the exact point you want it, and it will stay there because it's manual adjustment, and it's an actual glass lens. There's a Sony CMOS sensor in there, so it's really good in low light and regular scenarios. It's probably overkill for your printers, but it provides a really good picture, and it's also a wide angle lens. So if you have, you know, like I've got a couple of the old Logitech 270s, which were really popular because they're cheap cameras. The problem is when you put them on like an Ender 3 off the corner of your bed, it's so close that you can't actually see the whole print area. So we came out with the EasyCam, which is an off-the-shelf camera that we had customized for us. We had the wide angle lens installed, the manual focus, so it covers the basis of what you use the camera for on a 3D printer. Now you can use it for a webcam. It's actually a really good camera, but they're great for Octoprint. They work with our EasyPi kits. They work with regular Octoprint kits. I'll post a link in here because I was pulling that. I can't type and talk at the same time. So, but they're priced, they're depending on the webcam prices are all over. I think things are kind of normalizing out now, but they're 67 bucks, and that's what we sell our EasyCam for. So they're right in the ballpark of what you'll pay for like a Logitech camera, except this is a lot better for 3D printer use. We also have mounts available on the product page for attaching it to our solid bed mounts, attaching it to a 2020 extrusion that we've designed, and those STL files are there so you can easily attach it to your printer. There's actually in the base, I'll show you guys here. I might as well just do a screen share here real quick. In the base of the camera, there's actually, take like a flathead or something, and these little covers pop off. There's a little like metal screw type setup here, and the mounts reuse that. So this whole bottom base here detaches from the camera, and all you're left with is this in the camera. So you don't need to use the base. It does come with one. It's got a tripod mount. But you know, if you're mounted on a printer bed, you can easily get rid of the base that would normally put it on top of like a computer monitor or a tripod. And it does a really good job. Let me find here. I'll show you what it looks like because I have one on a couple of my machines here. I'm waiting for my other ones to die, like the old Logitechs, because I want to put the EasyCams on them. But again, I can't justify getting rid of cameras that work perfectly well. But here's a preview. So this is an EasyCam on my Ender 5 Plus. I'm actually running this at 720p. I don't care about having 1080p. But you can see a nice wide angle. Here's my Ender 6. Again, you can see here, and I'm running this at 720p just to conserve bandwidth. I don't care about having 1080p, but it will do 1080p at 30 frames a second if you want something smoother and higher quality. But we actually set all of our Pi kits here, running our EasyPi software to 4 frames a second, 720p, just so we're not, you know, using up a ton of bandwidth between the shop and the house here, because we do have a wireless link between the two. So, but they do give you a nice field of view. I'm just going to kick this on real quick and see. But the nice thing is you never have to worry about it hunting and focusing because it's a fixed lens. You just turn the lens adjustment and it will stay where you put it because it's a manual lens adjustment. I'm just waiting for, there we go, it connected. So you can see here. See the whole bed, and this is literally right at the back of the printer. So this isn't like set further back. I literally have it shoved in the back of the printer, and you can see it gets the whole machine no problem. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shut that off because I'm not going to run a print. Let's see what our next question is. J Small is asking, how often do you replace the nozzles on your 3D printers? That's a good question. If you're not printing abrasives, I don't usually change them until we have an issue. If you're printing abrasives and you do brass, you're going to need to replace it fairly soon. You know, we're talking like 1 or 2 rolls of filament, and by abrasives, I mean like glow-in-the-dark, carbon fiber, that kind of stuff. Stuff with fill in it. Glow-in-the-dark is actually very abrasive. I don't know if you guys know that, but it is. But typically, I think with the print farm, we typically will change all the nozzles out after a year. If we have a clog or something, then we'll change it then. Obviously, I've found, especially when we're dealing with printers, just have the cheaper standard brass nozzles, which most of the print farm ones do because we're not printing abrasives. It's just easier to change them out and throw away the old one because it's not worth it trying to declog it and hoping you got everything out. Sometimes it's best to just say screw it and put a new nozzle in. But a lot of the machines in my office here, I've got the easy flows in them. Some of them are over a year old. I haven't had any reason to change them. So, the nozzle is one of those things that, for your average user, you probably just change it when you have a problem or you start getting under extrusion or, you keep getting clogs and whatnot. Let's see here. Hopefully there's more questions. I see chatter. I got my maw today. This is a 3-scoop day. And I'm about halfway through my 3-scoop mix. Let me see. Dimitri asking, how have the coax sales been? They've been good. They've been really good. They exceeded expectations. Luis is asking, is there a good way to clean a heat block that has its threads covered with PETG? The easiest way would be use your heater that's in the block to heat it up. If you can't, what I've done before is I have a bench vise. I'll take the block, put it in the vise, and then I'll heat it up with a like a propane or a MAP torch, and then clean it out with a wire brush. So sometimes though, I've had certain blocks where they're just so caked that even after heating it, trying to burn it out, trying to scrape it, like, rub it out with a wire brush, it's just not worth saving. So I always keep extra blocks on hand for the hot ends that we have here on our machines. Sometimes it's just not worth the time to clean it out, because you might be able to get it cleaned out and get all the stuff out of there, but it will take you a long time. There have been times where there's been like a block where I don't have any spares, and I found that if you just heat the crap out of it, I have a map gas, like handheld one, the little ones you click and it goes whoosh. You can torch the stuff out of there if you put it close and let the flame flow through the thread. So, but the only thing is you got to be careful too, because if you're using map, like I am, you can get it hot enough to start melting the block. So you just got to keep an eye. You got to have a happy medium of heat that's enough to get the crud out of there and burn it away, without melting the melting the block. So let's see here. R Mills is asking, I have suggestions for smart light switches. I have a bunch of 3-way switches and a few ceiling fan light combos I need. I have some Wi-Fi ones that I've reflashed. The problem with the ones you'll find on, like Amazon or whatnot, is you'll see reviews from like 6 or 7 months ago that say they put test mode on, then you'll get them and find out the manufacturer changed the chip and you can't flash them. So for in-wall switches, I've actually been using Z-Wave, and I'll plug a company called The Smartest House. They're an awesome company. They're basically like TH3D for Z-Wave. They're very heavily into Z-Wave stuff. I like Z-Wave for the most part, because it's only local control. Some people there's also Zigbee, but Z-Wave is a 900 megahertz protocol and it builds a mesh network. I've got probably about 75 to 80 Z-Wave devices. And the nice thing about Z-Wave is once you have enough in-wall switches that are on all the time, they repeat your network. And like here, I've got little Z-Wave door and window sensors on every single door and window on the property. And the time that I open a window to Home Assistant gets the command that that sensor opened is less than a second. And I've been getting about 2 years of battery life out of my little Z-Wave window sensor. So just make sure if you're buying Z-Wave, you get Z-Wave Plus, not original Z-Wave. Most of the stuff on the market now is going to be Plus, but Plus is what you want. Z-Wave is the older one. They are backwards compatible, but if you have Z-Wave devices in your network with Z-Wave Plus devices and traffic gets routed through that Z-Wave device, it's going to get downgraded to a Z-Wave only protocol, and it's going to be slower. So if you're building out a new network and you don't already have any Z-Wave devices, make sure you get Z-Wave Plus stuff. I had one switch that I bought early on when we got the house that was Z-Wave, and everything, basically everything was getting repeated through that, and it was slowing the network down. I replaced it with a Z-Wave Plus device, and it just started working so much better. Spencer's asking about the shelving of the machines in my office. These are a company called Edsal, E-D-S-A-L. You can find them at Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's. Most big box stores have them. There are 2 different versions you can find. These are the nicer ones. They're about 20 bucks more. You're talking about 100 to 110 bucks a rack versus 70 to 80. And the difference is these ones have like a black laminate on the shelving itself, so they look nicer. They're not just bare wood, so they do hold up a little better if you spill on them or liquids get on them. And they also have the front of the uprights have like a cover on them, so you don't actually see the little eye loops, because there's like a little circle, so that the thing that the shelving braces hook into is like a circle at the top. It's like a keyhole, and then you see those on the other ones, and whatever, they work, but these look nicer. I definitely recommend, if you can find the ones that have the laminated black shelves, spend the extra 20-30 bucks and get them, because they do hold up a lot better. And the cool thing is, these are, you can basically cut these in half and set them side by side and use them as a workbench, which is nice. So if you want a cheap workbench, you just build them side by side, and then you can have one right at basically desk level, which is nice. So I'm a big fan of the shelves. I remember when I first got them, some people were like, oh my god, it's going to ruin your prints, it's going to be shaking. They don't move, especially when you have like this. I've got 2 of them. They're actually screwed together. They don't move. They're fine. So let's see here. You're having issues with the giveaway link. Giveaway link is open. I just clicked it and it went to it. So my access to the giveaway link is the same as everybody else's. So try clearing your browser cache. Let's see here. Dominic is asking, my digital oven temperature swings up and down by as much as 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Is that safe for filament drying? Probably. I use the dehydrators, which we have a link on our help center. So if you just go to our help center, which is the support.th3dstudio.com domain, you just go there, just type drying. There's an article there. I use the begins with a C. It's the $150 food dehydrator, and I use that one in here because it doesn't require any modification. It has removable metal trays. You just don't put those in, and I can fit like 5 1-kilogram rolls in there. So Vince is asking, how do I mount my Easy Cam on my Ender 6? You're gonna laugh. It's literally shoved in the back. The bump out on the back. I'll just hang on. You're gonna laugh. Let me just snap a picture and I'll show it on my phone. You're gonna laugh at me, but you know what? It isn't stupid if it works. It's just literally shoved in between the plexi and the extrusion, and it stays there. I was gonna design a mount for it, but I was like, hey, this works and it doesn't get in the way. Sam says he's loving the hat. Oh, you got one of the hats. We do have some left in the shop. So if you guys want one of these hats, the exact same one that I'm wearing, we have a few of them. We did a run of 100 of them. I think we got about like 30 left, I want to say. But these ship directly from us. These are not drop shipped. So we actually had them made. But that's it. We're not, this isn't good. This is not going to be a regular stocked item. So once they're gone, that's it. We will not be getting any more of these particular hats. So let's see here. Lewis is asking about Z offset with a BL Touch. Do you need to calibrate it? Yes, whether you're using a BL Touch or an Easy ABL, you should always set your Z offset. Do not use somebody else's Z offset because you could ram your printer head into the bed, or be too far away. So yeah, definitely check your Z offset. There is a guide in the Z offset guide for the Easy ABL. You should be able to follow that for the BL Touch as well. And there's an initial Z offset, which is right here. I just posted a link to the initial Z offset. And then what I call getting your perfect Z offset, which is doing a live adjustment on the first layer, which is the second one here. M. Puffenbarger is asking, how would I connect our Easy Neo to the Ender 6? Use the information for the V42X boards. Basically, the 431 board is the same. If you're not using a BL Touch, you can use the BL Touch I/O pins. It would not be a direct connect. You would need to use the, which I have here, you would need to wire up the universal power adapter here, this little step down that we have. And then, like, this is the completed harness here. So basically, we have the Easy Neo cable itself. Okay, so the 3-pin JST, this goes into the cable. We've got the little DuPonts in here. I've got my signal wire broken out to go to my control board, and then I've got the 5-volt power coming into it from the step down, and then the step down gets its power from your printer power supply. So you can plug in to any free I/O pin on your control board, and then you just tell the firmware what pin you plugged into. And as far as I know, I think it's a V431 board that comes in the Ender 6. The pinout is the same on the BL Touch header as the 422 and the 427. I am going to be putting Easy Neos on most of my machines here. I just haven't had time to do it, which makes me sad. I also want to design a little thing to angle it. So kind of like put them at a 45-degree angle instead of just blasting straight into the printer. Like the Ender 6, it's Core XY. I want to have something that can kind of go into the top and angle it down into the print bed. So so much I want to do, so little time to do it. Let's see here. Oh, chat jumped. Let me figure out where I went. Vince, did you see how I shoved the Easy Cam in there? I'm trying to check the chat here. And I see Chris is in the chat asking about Easy Flow 0.4s. Yeah, we're out of stock on those. I know we ordered some. I don't know when we will have them back. I can tell you when I ordered them, because that'll give me an idea of when they'll be back. Hang on, let me see. Incoming inventory, inbound stock, Easy Flow 0.4s. I'm showing an expected date of the 30th. Now, that's not a guarantee, but they could be here on the 30th. They were ordered on the 10th, and those usually have a couple-week lead time. I got 50 of those coming in. So I'm showing an ETA of 7:30, so I should be getting tracking relatively soon from that supplier. I know they're making them right now. But yeah, let's see. Louis is also asking, the print PETG, should I use Creality's flexible surface or the textured glass? Both came with the printer. I would probably use the textured glass and just be very careful, because PETG will bond to many surfaces, including that Creality, flexible surface as well. PETG is a nice material, but it likes to bond to stuff. Like if you print on bare glass, PETG will bond to bare glass. So the best thing to do is throw down. I'm looking for my vision miner. I knew it's right here. It's always on my desk. Something like this on between your surface that you're printing on and the PETG will act as like a barrier, so you don't have to worry about it bonding to it. But one thing I will mention is if you're too close on your Z, even you put something like this down or glue stick or hairspray or something, if your nozzle's too close, it can push through whatever you put down and then bond directly to the surface you're printing on. So with PETG in general, I always make sure that my Z offset is good and I'm not too close to the bed because I don't want to permanently bond that to whatever surface I'm printing on. PETG is a good material, but it's unforgiving when it comes to bonding with whatever you're printing on. I speak from experience. I've taken chunks out of glass. I've bonded to our PEI plates. I've bonded to our easy mats. Build tack. Like it's a very grippy material and it likes to hold on to whatever you're printing on. So having some sort of release agent between the PETG and your build surface is a must with PETG. So now you can get away with it if you're very careful with your Z offset, but in general, I just recommend people use something between it because all it takes is one time to screw it up. Lewis is asking, do we ship to Europe? We do ship to most of Europe. We have, if you just go on our website and put in your address, there's a drop-down list and you can put the country in that you're in and it will, if it's on the list, then we do ship to it. So there are certain countries we don't ship to because we've had issues with fraud, or just constantly having deliveries go missing that it wasn't worth shipping there anymore. But, we have quite a bit of countries that we ship to. Neil Visser's asking about the Chiron development. I'm about 80% done. I have firmware on my computer that works with this. I'm just trying to finalize the dual independent Z leveling and making sure that's set up to just, install the firmware and go. Because I do want to take advantage of it. So the Chiron has dual independent Z motors and dual independent Z end stops. So I'd like to take advantage of that because you can then use the sensor to level out your gantry, which is pretty freaking cool. But let's see here. Jonathan Barnes, I've seen the Mingda Magician X printer. I've not. I've heard of Mingda. I haven't looked at any of their stuff. So... Stephen Cruz asking, can a firmware be compiled for BL Touch be used with the Easy ABL without recompiling? Probably not. The BL Touch uses an inverse logic from ours, and there's also going to be extra code for the BL Touch that is not needed. For the Easy ABL. Let's see. Shay is asking about an EasyPi direct wire kit. Those are on hold right now. I have some prototypes that passed testing. The problem is we can't get the chips. We are still having issues with getting silicon, which is just how it is. It sucks. Let's see here. Abe is asking about layers. He said his Ender 3 V2 has a minimum Z step of 0.04 millimeters. This suggests that all layers must be on a multiple of 0.04. No, that's people that tell you that don't know what they're talking about. You can run 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, whatever. Your stepper motors can hold partial step positions. It's just how they are. So, any ETA date on the Chiron? It's done when it's done. I'm trying to get it done by the end of next week. But I don't want to release firmware that's not fully refined, if you guys know what I mean. Let's see. Sai is asking, what kind of duct would I recommend for an Ender 3 Pro with a V6 and a BL Touch? Basically, your options are going to be the Hero Me, because you said apart from the Hero Me, but the Hero Me and the Pets thing. So when you're, I'll give you a little tip. When you're looking for mounts for the Ender 3, anything that fits a regular CR10 or CR10S, so like the larger Creality printers, will work on an Ender 3, and it will work on an Ender 3 because the X carriage that Creality uses on the Ender 3 is the same exact X carriage as on a CR10. So if it works on a CR10, it'll work on an Ender 3, and also vice versa. If you have a CR10, you can use Ender 3 hot end mounts on your CR10 because Creality reused the same exact X plate. So, yeah, the Hero Me works, but like Armil said here, it's a pain to mess with. It really is. It works, but it's very fiddly is my consensus on it. So, but it does give good results. So if you're willing to, get it going and, you know, fight with it a little bit, it works. I have the Hero Me Gen 3, not the 5, on my Ender 3. I haven't sat down and figured out which one I want to go to because the duct has some cracks in it. I had printed it with a silk filament. Don't print mounts in silk filament, even though they look cool. The layer adhesion is just terrible, so they end up cracking over time. So, but yeah, oh yeah, Nemo Grift. It needs lots of screws and bolts. Yeah, bolts and nuts. It needs a lot of them. We do have a screw assortment, an M3, M4, and M5 screw assortment in our shop if you guys want to have one on hand. Just so if you're printing an aftermarket mount, you're not having to hunt through stuff. The assortment we have comes with M3s all the way up to 25 millimeters. So, someone said the set Sonoduct. I haven't heard of that one, but I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. What does that look like? Oh, and Thingiverse is taking frickin' forever. The set Sonic looks kind of like the Red Squirrel type. Do they have any support for Easy ABL or BL touches? There's not, and it's only the stock fans from what I see, unless someone made remixes. I see there's some remixes, so maybe someone remixed it. But yeah, so many mounts, so little time. Let's see here. I wonder if there's any Ender 6 mounts on Thingiverse now. Let's see. Are there any ones on Thingiverse? Otherwise, I'm going to have to pay Joe to design one because I'm itching to upgrade the cooling on my Ender 6. I don't think anybody... There was like one that was out and it reused the stock fan. I want to put a 50-15 on that sucker to get some more airflow because while the stock cooling is okay, it does not hold, you know, a candle anywhere to a good 50-15 setup just because it moves so much more air. I'm not seeing anything. Any of you guys watching have a recommendation for a good Ender 6 mount? Not a direct drive, just like a upgraded cooling setup. So let's see here. The Bullseye is a decent setup. If you're going to go through the trouble of swapping your hot end mount out, I would highly recommend printing a mount with a 50-15 fan. They do a lot more airflow, and you can even run them if you want to try to cut down on noise. You can even run them at a slower speed, and it'll still move more air than the stock fan. Neil Viss is asking about the Chiron and the Easy ABL. That's what we're shooting for, is getting the Easy ABL running on there, getting our firmware on there, and getting rid of that LCD. I thought the Creality Touch LCDs were bad. Anycubic somehow topped in terms of how terrible a touch LCD can be. It's rough. I was originally gonna be like, well, let me try messing with this one since it's a different one than Creality uses. It's not a D-Win. I spent about 15 minutes and I was like, nope, not touching this. It's got to go. So, anyways, use Yegi instead of Thingiverse. I always forget about Yegi. Yegi's cool. Yegi is a search engine for sites like Thingiverse that aggregates all the other sites, so you can search in one spot. And their search engine actually works, unlike Thingiverse. Thingiverse just doesn't pull up results like you would expect it to. You know, it's like their algorithms are just terrible. Let me see, Ender 6. I'm just going to search Ender 6 and see what comes up on Yegi and see. Ooh, somebody's got some LED mounts. I think these are for the little cheap flexible ones. I could modify this to fit an Easy Neo. I'm going to save that STL. I'm looking for something to change out the hot end mount, and I'm not really seeing much of anything. I'm surprised someone hasn't made something at this point for the Ender 6 that's a replacement cooling duct, like for a 50-15, because it's been out for a while, and I feel like that machine's pretty popular at this point. There are some Bondtech mounts, but I'm not seeing much of anything else. So I might just have to bite the bullet and have Joe design one, and then we make our own, basically. All right, let's see what other... Oh, wait, I take that back. There is one here. Oh, that's a 40, or no. Is that, oh, it's a 40-20 blower. I hate those. Um, Damn, that's disappointing. I got excited because I saw a blower. Anyways, let's see. What other questions do we have? If you guys don't have any more questions, then I'm gonna wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up the stream because if there's no questions, then I have to get back to moving help center articles over, which is so much fun. I've got 250 of them to do. I've got about 160 done already. It's so tedious. Brand Markey is asking, have you tried the NeoPixel lights on the Duet 3? I have not yet, but I did give Joe from Project R3D a couple of the strips because he wanted to test them out with the Daedalus, and he told me he has them working already. As far as I know, the Duet boards do support NeoPixels, and our little Easy Neo strips, these support the standard NeoPixel protocol. So if your printer firmware supports NeoPixels, it will work with our Easy Neo strips, and there's 15 pixels on our strip. So I believe somebody asked on Twitter if Clipper supports the Easy Neos, and I looked it up, and it looks like Clipper does have NeoPixel support as well. So let me see here. Glazed Pineapple is asking, what's my favorite ASA? I actually have only printed one ASA, and it was from Push Plastics. And it printed okay. I mostly print ABS here. I haven't bought ASA in a while. So, Sean Etheridge is asking about, I believe EasyFlex is in pre-made PEI. I'm assuming you mean like a flex plate for the CR10 Mini. We do have flex plates for the CR10 Mini. I believe that's a 235 by 310. Yeah, 235 by 310. We have them on our website. So if you're looking for a flex system for your CR10 Mini, we do carry them. It would be the 235 by 310 version. I'll just pull that over here and show you. Main monitor. Here we go. So yeah, so if you just go to build sheets and flex systems, there's the individual pages here. So this is just the plate, just the magnet. If you're looking to get both at the same time, you can order it all from one page here. You just go to select your plate size. CR10 Mini would be the 235 by 310. If you want smooth PEI, choose smooth. If you want textured, choose textured, and then add on the same size for the magnetic sheet. So that'll get you the full system, and that'll run you about 50 American pesos here. So that's for the magnet and the plate. Just the plates themselves are about 33 bucks here. So the texture's like $1 more than the smooth, but they're both the same size. So we have both of them for the CR10 Mini. It'd be 235 by 310. So let's see here. The cube, I don't think the cube command is going to work because those webhooks are only enabled when Home Assistant thinks I'm live, and Home Assistant still doesn't think that I'm live for some reason, which is really weird. Maybe I have to install an update. We'll see. I have a lot of updates. I don't have to update Home Assistant after I'm done with the stream. So anyways, if you guys don't have any other questions, I'm going to wrap this up. One other thing I did want to mention about our EasyFlex is all of our EasyFlex plates, the textured and the smooth, all come with the surfaces pre-installed on them. So we do not make you apply your own sheets like some other vendors do. So, and there's no additional charge for that. The price you see for the plates, that's with the surface pre-installed. So you literally get it from us, you put it on your printer, and you start printing with it. So I don't see any other questions. Did I miss any other questions, chat? You guys are usually pretty good at reminding me if I missed something. I do see, I think Lewis was asking about the 50-15 fans and 1 versus 2. If you're running a 0.4 nozzle, put 1 on there. 2 is overkill. I'm trying to see if there's any other questions that I missed. Did I miss any? Come on, chat. You guys are usually good. So, Let's see. Is Magigoo the same as Vision Miner? It is not. It is completely different. And from what I'm told, Magigoo smells like feet, and it's much thicker. We sell this stuff because I used it before we sold it, and I love it. So, highly recommend if you guys want a good Betahegian product. Vision Miner is awesome. There's this big bottle. This is the $50 one, which will last you a long time. But there's also a little tiny one that's like $6 if you want to try it out before committing to a big bottle. But I haven't had a single person email us that bought it that was like, this stuff doesn't work. Everybody that I've talked to that they bought it, they love it. So, Sai is asking, my 5015 caused thermal runaway. That's because your duct is blowing on your heater block. A couple things you can do to avoid that is put a silicone sock on your hot end, on the actual block, and then make sure that your duct is not blowing onto the block. So, Obi Hamster is asking, can I simply connect two knee motors to a driver and connect them with a belt, or do the coils both have to run synchronously beforehand? If one motor coil is at A and the other is at B, no. If you wire them in parallel or in series, you can absolutely run two motors off of one driver. There's actually a video on our channel here where I just did a quick install where I cut it and spliced and taped it up. Definitely recommend if you have a soldering iron to solder the connections. But yeah, you can run two motors for the same axis. So if you have two Z motors, you can run two motors off of one driver with no issues. The only thing you might have to do is you might have to up the VREF a little bit if you start getting step loss, especially if you're running in parallel, because if you take one motor and go to two and you're running them in parallel, you're actually having the current that each motor's getting. Whereas in series, you shouldn't have to mess with the VREF. But parallel is the easiest way to wire it up, and all you do is just up the VREF a little bit if you start losing steps. But you know, you absolutely can run two off for the same axis. I'm checking the live streams. I'm trying to find ooh, Vince posted a link. I'm gonna post this in here. Louis says his hot end's oozing from the top near the heat break. That means your nozzle is not seated up against the heat break all the way. Let's see. I posted a link. The intercooler. This says this is for what machine is this for? Okay, this is interesting. I had a screenshot. This is old, 2018. So okay, so I see how this would work on the Ender 6 because it's literally attaching just to the heatsink. That's an interesting design. And yeah, that should work with the Ender 6 because it uses the same style hot end as the Crealities. That's a good find. You know, this is cross-referencing stuff is really good because a lot of these companies, there is overlap in the parts they use, and you know, while the carriage on the Ender 6 is different from the other Creality machines, the hot end is the same. And this actually looks pretty decent. This looks like this will work with the Ender 6. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And I'm going to print that off and see if that works, because since that just attaches to the hot end, it doesn't matter what the carriage is. So that's a good find. All right. Let's see. Tom Taylor says he's got a Creality 427 board and the Z motor oscillates for about 3 seconds before it goes to the next layer. So here's the thing. If it's oscillating and and it's not continuing the print, that sounds like a weird G-code issue and not necessarily a problem with the board, because if, let's say it got the command to raise the Z for the next layer change. If it was a driver issue, like a physical Z driver issue, the print would continue on X and Y, and it would still keep extruding. But if it goes to go to the next layer and everything pauses until it's done doing that, you know, I don't know what you mean by oscillate. I'm thinking you mean by it's going like this, like back and forth. That sounds like it might be an issue with the G code You're saying, okay, he just said it stays printing. Sounds like the Z motor driver might be going out, or you could be having an issue with the cable. It's going to be one of three things if it's a physical issue. It's either the motor itself. You can rule that out by swapping the motor with another axis. So take the X and put it, or take the X and put it on the Z, put the Z on the X, and see if the issue follows it. Simplest thing would be to check and see if the motor wiring has any issues. Again, you can take your wiring from the Z and swap it with the X or the Y. Just look at the cable and make sure. Sometimes there's a twist on the two center pins. Make sure the motor you're swapping it with has the same type of wire pinout on the motor side. So, but that's a really good way to utilize your existing hardware you have on hand. A lot of you aren't like me where I've got a million motor cables laying around and extra motors all the time. Use the hardware on the printer to rule out issues to figure out, so let's say you swap the X and the Z and the issue follows to the X, well, that tells you the motor is bad. If you swap the X and the Z motor, and the issue follows to the X motor, that was your Z motor. Hopefully I'm making sense and not confusing you guys, but basically switching stuff around and seeing where the issue remains. So, but let's say you switch the X motor and the Z motor, and you switch the X cable and the Z cable. So now your Z motor and cable is on X and your X motor and cable is on Z, and the issue still is on Z, then that tells me it's an issue with the board. If you switch the motor and the cable to X and the issue is now on X, that tells me it's either an issue with the motor and the cable. And then what I would do is swap the cable and see if the issue follows back to Z. If it does, it's the cable. If it doesn't, then it's the X motor. So, anyways, I think we're good. Hopefully this was helpful. We're coming up right on the hour mark, so that works out. I'm not going to forget to give Remo a dingo stick. Oh, I don't know if you saw his little ears peek up behind me. Let's see. Do you want a treat? I know you want a treat. Yes, you do. Come here. You gotta do your thing. You gotta do this stuff. Well, you already sat. Shake. Good boy. Touch. Touch. Sit. There you go. Good boy. You are good to stream. All right. Well, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys are having an awesome day. I'm gonna go back to working on documentation so we can get our help center moved over to the main site. And as always, happy printing. I'll see you guys on Friday at 5 o'clock, same time and same terrible stream. Talk to you later. Bye.